Hello and welcome! My name is Fredrik Zillen and I'm a running technique specialist. And this episode is all about this. How much can your performance improve in a marathon if you wear a shoe that weighs 45 grams, 1.5 ounce less than your regular running shoe? And how much effect will having drinking beetroot juice before the race have on your performance? Which provides the best training effect? Short and hard intervals up a steep hill or longer intervals on an undulating course? Which exercise for strength and mobility is best for you? How much drop should your running shoe have that is optimal for your running style? And what about resting? 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds between your 1K intervals? And the answer to all these questions is... well, I don't care, and maybe you shouldn't either. Because if these are things that you think about a lot, you probably have the wrong focus. You suffer from a common condition in the world of running, the detail disease. The symptoms are an unnaturally large focus on details instead of things that really matters. I'm often surprised at how much thought and money is spent on finding smart shortcuts to better performance in running and other sports. But as usual, the simple and basic stuff sells neither books or gadgets, and shortcuts in all their forms are very seductive to the human brain. Certainly, almost all the shortcuts I will mention in this video can have an effect on your performance, but as a very competent sports scientist at Stanford University, Mikael Mattsson, once said at a lecture I attended, and I quote, "Everything that people do to improve recovery and get better at absorbing hard training, like compression clothing and ice baths, is a piss in the ocean compared to sleep. Sleep beats everything. Easy." End of quote. But still, more people talk about and spend a lot of time and money on the smart shortcuts than those who make sure that they sleep at least 8 hours a night. So the answer to the question, how do I improve recovery and my ability to absorbing hard training, is go to bed. Everything else will just have marginal effects. Of course, the type of sessions you do play a big role in your development and performance as a runner. But for us regular recreational runners, the old truth, you get good at what you do, applies. Just like it does for everything else you want to be good at. If you want to get better at playing guitar or speaking Portuguese, play a lot of guitar and speak a lot of Portuguese. If you currently run 2 or possibly 3 times a week, you will improve if you start running 3 or maybe 4 times a week. Of course, you can be an idiot and start running 19 in hard interval sessions a week and then get mad at me when you get injured because I said that more volume is always good. But that's not what I mean, and you know it. And of course, this applies up to a certain limit. If an elite runner runs 200 kilometers, 124 miles. It's not certain that a higher volume is better. But for most recreational runners, more is better. I made a whole video about that. For example, the research I have seen on the subject looked at male runners and shows that most of them probably needs an average about 70 or maybe 80 kilometers per week, roughly 44 to 50 miles, over a longer period of time, if they want to run a 3-hour marathon or a 2:59:59 marathon, which is what we're really talking about. Nobody wants to run in 3 hours. Sure, some can run a marathon in 3 hours with less training volume than that, just as some runners who run more than that may not be able to run in 3 hours at all. But for most people, and you are most likely most people. 70 to 80 kilometers, 44 to 50 miles per week is what is required if you want to run a 3-hour marathon. There's no magical key session or supplement. Then there's strength training, which is very good for runners. I often get asked what exercises are best for runners. But the big problem for the majority of runners is not exactly what exercise they do, or whether they do strength training as a separate session or in conjunction with their running, or if so, whether it's together with the long run or the intervals, or whether it's before or after the run. The big problem is that they don't do any strength training or plyometrics at all. And it's probably not so important whether you should do 3 sets or 5 sets, or how long you should rest between your sets, or whether you need an access to a gym, or maybe just your own body weight. Your biggest problem is probably that you don't do any strength training consistently and continuously over a longer period of time with progressive increase in the weights you use. That is the problem. Not if you're doing the right exercises with the right amount of reps, sets and resting. Now, how about the things you can buy? No, it doesn't really matter if your extremely expensive running shoes weigh a little less than the ones you had before, or if your running watch can measure contact time percentage heart rate increase per degree of incline, or what your favorite color is. And sitting and staring at an app that shows you that, oh, the heart rate went up just where there were a long uphill climb doesn't make you a better runner. If you would like to develop more as a runner, then do 1 or maybe 2 strength exercises instead of pointlessly looking at the map you see in your app of how you ran and recognize that, ooh, I turned right at the lake, which you already know because you just ran that distance. The question should not be, I wonder if my contact time went up when I ran through the swamp. But instead, how do I run more, sleep more, and get some strength training done, and maybe eat a little better? And here are the boring things that are important for improved performance for runners. Run more. Performance is for most recreational runners linear with miles per week. You get better if you run more. And run slow. If you run more, it's good if you don't always run so fast, so you can handle the higher volume. And run hard. Speed is something you earn. If you don't challenge your body, it won't change. If you want to run fast, you need to practice running fast. But remember that the need for recovery increases at higher intensities, especially if you are getting a little older, like I am. And increase volume and intensity much slower than you think you can manage, and preferably not at the same time. Continuity is the key. And sleep more. A lot more. Take a nap if you can. Add some exercises for strength and elasticity. This will both make you faster and reduce the risk of injury. Once you have done this, you can also start looking at other elements, such as which sessions you should do, heart rate zones, periodizations, and so on. This can definitely affect your performance, but make sure you have the basics in place first. Run a bit more, don't run so fast so you can handle the higher volume, do some intervals, strength training, and sleep, sleep, sleep. And now this video is over, so now you can go to sleep. Good night. I really hope you liked that video, and if you did, you please click the like button and maybe also the subscribe button so you don't miss any more videos here on my channel. And if you are interested in my online course, you find all the information about that one in the description below.